So, what is it that makes independent video games independent? Now, to start off on the surface level, there's the basic fact that they're not made by a major studio. That's a good place for a working definition to start, but it shouldn't stop there, because there's more to it than that. The difference doesn't have to do with gameplay. There are as many frenetic, action-heavy independent games as there are slow, introspective, talking ones. And it certainly doesn't have to do with subject matter. After all, the fantasy genre is pretty dominant in mainstream games, with big budget titles like Skyrim and Dragon Age. But that certainly hasn't stopped independent developers from making sword and sorcery romps of their own. Indeed, it's hard to imagine more of a stereotypical fantasy game than one of the most famous indie games of all, Todd Adams's Dwarf Fortress. Name a Tolkien cliché, and chances are this game's got it. Petulant, drunken dwarves are also master blacksmiths, living in vast fortress systems underground. So, what is it that makes Dwarf Fortress different in style and ethos to, say, other games that feature stereotypical fantasy dwarves, like Dragon Age? The production values, of course, the commitment to creating a lush world through ASCII graphics, but once upon a time, this is what the top mainstream games did look like. Is the DIY aspect to consider? This tends to be important to indie game developers for pretty obvious reasons, but you can simulate just about anything you set your mind to using Dwarf Fortress's engine. And on the flip side of that, there's the attention to detail. Todd Adams wants to be able to simulate everything, a whole self-contained game universe. That's down to the minutest detail that most devs and most audiences wouldn't care about. We think he's only half joking when he says he wants to be able to write an engine that can simulate individual atoms. And then there's the simple matter of the difficulty. Adams makes no bones about his game being a hard one for hard people. I'll let YouTuber Marcus Aurelius explain what a typical round of combat in Dwarf Fortress is like.
Okay, here's when things get bad. The were-elephant grabs the swords dwarf by the tongue with its right upper arm. So this were-elephant, this giant elephant man, grabs the dwarf's tongue with his right arm, throws the swords dwarf by his tongue. Okay, swords dwarf gets up, no problem. You've seen this kind of thing every day. Tears some more muscles, tears another sensory nerve. But then the were-elephant grabs him by the fourth toe of his right foot with its left lower leg. So he kind of, I don't know if he has the ability to grab with his leg or if he just trips him or what, but then he bites the swords dwarf in the right hand and the hand just flies off.